in today's society, like most of the time when people think about healing, they think about hospitals, like being on a hospital bed, taking medications. But I'm starting to see a shift take place, and I think this is like post-pandemic.
I had gotten in an accident about 4 years ago, and I came close to breaking my foot at work. Everything in my whole life changed. It stopped when I couldn't walk. And it was where 13 weeks you went through the process of changing your entire diet and taking things out and slowly giving your body a chance to reset itself.
Yeah.
The sounds in your environment play a lot. It gives you energy and it can take it away by the sounds that you hear. Like when I told you about being on the train, how you're shaking up, bothers you.
Yeah.
Most people, it bothered me when I've been on a train.
Yeah.
You want to know something? It kind of plays into a role. I think they call it hypnotic rhythm or something like that. It's like if you play like heavy metal, you're gonna want to start, bopping your head and shaking your arms and doing some crazy movements. Now versus if you were to play jazz music, all right, cool. You're not doing the same movements.
Mellow.
Yeah, it's more mellow. So it's like the kind of music that you listen to.
How did you get rid of an ear infection in 3 days? Hey, what's going on, guys? Just a big announcement I wanted to share. We are launching the Motion and Success community, guys. So look, this is where we're going to be giving out the game on business funding, credit, as well as how to grow online organically. See, a lot of times, a lot of people are the best kept secret. A lot of times, a lot of people don't have access to capital to start their business and fund their dreams. This is the community where we're literally going to be showing you guys how to do that. But this is what we're going to do, right? So for anybody listening to this, I'm going to be dropping my course in there for free. How to grow from 0 to 100K in under a year. Listen, we did it, so why can't you? We're also going to be having Cody drop his course in there, showing you what banks to go to, how to get access to funding. Literally, guys, this is the tools that you need to take yourself to the next level. Cody, break it down for them.
One thing that I realized, everybody and a mother has this one problem. A lot of times they have the problem with the credit, they have the problem with the building the credit, and they also have problems going out and finding the lenders out there. So what I'm gonna be doing inside this free course is literally breaking out all of this information for you guys, so that way you can literally eliminate all those challenges and go out and start having some motion and success for yourself. Not only that, we're gonna be talking about scalability, because a lot of times we done had dozens on top of dozens of 6, 7, and 8-figure earners on our platform. So we're gonna invite them back inside our community, so that way you guys can be able to understand and ask more detailed questions and get your questions answered. That way you can start having some motion and success for yourself. So go ahead and comment the word motion down below, so that way you could be one of the first 50 people to go ahead and get our free courses inside. All right, y'all, so welcome back to another episode of Motion and Success. Listen, guys, my name is Cody Brown, and I got my co-host with me today.
Yo, it's Ayo, yeah. And like I always say on every episode, we're back with another great episode.
Yes, sir.
And today we got a really unique guest. This is going to be our first guest of this caliber. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a really dope one. I'm going to learn a lot. You guys are definitely going to learn a lot. So today we got Diane with us.
Hello,
coming all the way from Delaware.
Diane meets Motion and Success today.
Yep.
Thanks for the opportunity.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, Diane, we had a little interesting conversation before we started, but just tell the people a little bit about you, what's some of the things that you do. And yeah, we could crack it off like that.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity, guys, as I said.
Absolutely.
I am a holistic wellness coach. My business is called Inner Glow Wellness. I work with mental fitness, nutrition, neurolinguistic programming, which is a version of NLP and hypnotherapy combination. And I am a pranic healer. And that's energy healing, using your energy and my energy together to heal yourself.
Okay.
That's very interesting. Because typically, like, I feel like in today's society, like most of the time when people think about healing, they think about hospitals, like being on a hospital bed, taking medications. But I'm starting to see a shift take place, and I think this is like post-pandemic.
Yes.
A lot of people are looking for different alternatives. So what got you into that field?
Well, I had gotten in an accident about 4 years ago. And I came close to breaking my foot at work. And everything in my whole life changed. It stopped when I couldn't walk.
Wow.
And I got forced to learn new ways of getting around, new ways of taking care of myself. And in that process, I got put through a whole spectrum of things, losing income, losing mobility, losing my ability to get from place to place. I had to like depend on people. And that was a lot for an independent woman.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, now what? Then all the doctor's appointments and finally surgery and having to relearn to walk. And by that time I had gained so much weight, it was even more of a problem.
Oh.
And it was like, okay, now what do I do? I'm like twice the size I was almost. I went from a size 14 to a size 22. And that's big for a woman. Any woman will tell you, we don't want to go upwards to double digits. And you're like, hey, wait a minute. This is not where I wanted to see myself at this age. And it was like, now what do I do? And the company that I work with called Mind Valley came up with a program. And it was called WildFit. And it was where 13 weeks you went through the process of changing your entire diet and taking things out and slowly giving your body a chance to reset itself. It's like, you know how everybody's going through, oh, we're going to do a fast, we're going to do a cleanse. Yeah. It was like giving your body a 13-week cleanse and then slowly incorporating things back in where you could see how your body reacted to sugar again, see how your body reacted to grains again, see how your body reacted to gluten, and to see how your body reacts to proteins.
Yeah.
Because you start to learn how to eat seasonally. Because when we were hunter-gatherers, you ain't had no Whole Foods around the corner. There was no bodega. Yeah. Unless you called the farm out back a bodega. You didn't have all that then. So you could only eat what was in season. And we have been so accustomed to just being able to run down to the corner and get what we want.
Yeah.
And we forget about that's not how your body is used to processing. And when you take it back to that all the way back, that gives you opportunity to reset your body. And at that time, I had bad acne too.
Like facial acne?
Yeah, like I was a 16-year-old. And it was like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
Wait, so that accident happened when you were 16?
Oh, no.
This 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Oh, I was about to say.
No, I'm just saying the acne.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know what it was. They were like, oh, just take this pill, put this cream. And I'm like, that mess is not doing nothing. Yeah. All it was doing was changing the color of my face because it was the steroids. And I'm like, hey, we can't be lighter in my eyes and like right in here in your T area. Can't be light there and dark everywhere else. How's that look?
So what was making the acne, like the food, like your body was reacting to the food that you was eating?
Yep, it was the glutens and the sugars and the grains. And once I gave my body a break,
you start seeing your face.
I start seeing my face clear up. Wow. I start seeing how my body was responding to different lotions and different things. It was like, whoa, I didn't, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And it was like a refresher for me.
So with the test that you was on, so like when you started off the test, like I'm assuming this is a intentional 13 weeks, right? Yes. That's about 100 days, like about 3 months or so.
Yeah.
So now, before your test started, what did you do? Like, did you weigh in at a certain weight? Did you do like blood work? Like, did you check your like sugar levels, all of that stuff? And then every 4 weeks you would check in and do a different, like, how was that? Like, what was the process?
How the process worked, when you first start, they give you measurements to take of your whole body.
It's like stomach,
arms, you're checking your thighs, your calves, your arms, your chest, your hips.
They do like body fat percent too?
No, we didn't do that.
Okay.
It didn't. Because see, that's a part of the negative narration that society has put in us. When they talk about the 5 food groups, when they talk about your BMI, when they talk about how much you weigh, when they talk about, what you should eat before you go to bed, all those things that society has put in your mind aren't really good. Because the 5 food groups don't really work. Because how many people have made anything of that? And think about the dairy you eat. Have you not noticed over, say, the 10 or 15 years, people have started to have lactose issues. People are starting to get sick from the dairy. You can't really digest it. Or if you do digest it, it's really quick.
Yeah.
And, you know, your body, you get gas or you get some kind of craziness going on with your system from the dairy. And that's another thing. And that's another societal meme, as he calls them, that is not good for us.
Yeah.
And if you really look up your dairy, you'll see that there's pus in the milk. And the FDA has approved that. And every year the pus level has gone up because the cows are sick. They have some sort of antibiotic disease that they can't cure. So the pus level keeps going up and up and up to what's the end of it?
Yeah.
And to the point where Europe doesn't have a lot of dairy over there because there's no real benefit. Think about it. Can you name a mammal that drinks another mammal's milk?
No.
So why should we?
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
I definitely agree, and I do want to get your view on because a lot of times, a lot of people, they always go back like earlier, probably like thousands of years ago, and be like, hey, humans, they lived healthier back then or longer as well. But then a lot of people, they fast forward to the present and say, you know, people are actually living longer than they did before. People were dying in their 50s, like, you know, ancient times and things like that. But now people are able to live until like 80s to hundreds. But at the same time, chronic disease is at an all-time high.
True.
So how do you view the whole health industry right now? Like, do you believe like medications, you know, is something that that people should use just to prolong their life, or they should take the more disciplined route, like you said, and change your whole diet, which most people can't do?
All right, so let me ask you guys a real quick question before we move forward any further in this episode. So listen, are you guys struggling with bad credit? Are you guys struggling with credit repair? Or are you struggling with getting funding? So now, if you answered yes to any of those questions, me and the Motion and Success team went ahead and created a community where we're showing you in depth and showing you exactly how to go out and repair your credit without having to hire a credit repair company and spending $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 and still have a chance of not getting any results. I'm going to show you how to use AI to repair your credit. Number 2, if you're lacking having a strong credit report, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, where to go, and how to build up a strong profile. And number 3, if you're looking to go out and get funding to go ahead and buy equipment for your business, expand your business, get working capital, hire employees, I'm going to show you exactly where to go to get the funds to grow and scale your business. So if you want to have some motion and success for your business, motion and success for your family, come ahead and join us home. And I'm going to see you guys inside the community. Go ahead and click the link down below. Now let's get back to the episode.
And see, and that's the thing, we give it too much credence about that word can.
Yeah.
We can all do what we choose to. You choose to put food in your mouth, do you not?
Yeah.
And that's what, think about it. I ask people, what do you think when you hear the word diet?
Die?
Diet.
Die.
Diet.
Diet?
Yeah. What's your first thought when you hear the word diet?
Like you meant like
you
the
going
word.
on like you about to start eating salad?
Salad, croutons, you're juicing, all kinds of fruit juice, celery juice, green juice. Now that everybody got the tummy tuck thing, the belt.
Yeah.
And there's a funny thing with that. The word actually means the things that you eat every day.
Oh, that's your diet.
It's
your diet.
Yeah, it's a diet.
Not that you're going to stop eating something, not that you're going to start eating salads. It's what you eat regularly, what you go through on a 7-day cycle.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it. You choose to eat the salad. You choose to eat the cheesesteak. You choose to eat the ribs. You choose to eat the French fries. So instead of eating the French fries, try fried sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Might be better for you. Instead of having the vegetable oil, try coconut oil or avocado oil, something that your system is able to digest better. But see, then it changes to the point of we're all 3 different people. You may have coconut, you may have avocado, I might have coconut. But that's the difference, because we're all individuals, and the microbiome test gives you specifics and tells you these are the things that have been affecting you over time. And these are the things to start eliminating from your diet so that you can start feeling better and seeing how you'll improve with the weight, with your skin, with your hair, with your nails. Everything can change in a 6-month time period.
Can you explain to people what the microbiome test is?
That's a test where they take, there's 3 aspects to it.
And you need all 3.
And I'm not going to say you need them. I'll explain them and then we'll go from there.
All right, cool.
Now, first and foremost, what do you think is the first line of defense in your body?
Your skin.
Nope. Your first line of defense is your mouth.
Your skin
When
is
it comes
the
to, we're
biggest
talking
organ,
about food.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't ask that.
Okay.
Right. Your food.
Yeah.
So what goes in your mouth is the first thing.
Yeah.
So if your oral health is all messed up, it's going to take those bacteria from your oral down into your body.
Right.
So then everything's going to get messed up as it's going down.
Yeah.
So it's going to poison whatever
Yeah.
other poison you were eating.
That thing is kind of true, because I got a story real quick. I used to eat a lot of like Chinese food, and I had to go consult a dermatologist because basically the inside of my mouth started like turning like dark. It was like a dark color. So I went to the dermatologist. Color? Yeah. So I went to the dermatologist and he's like, "What have you been eating?" And I'm like, "All I eat is really Chinese food." He's like, they cook with a certain ingredients that you might be reacting to. I stopped eating Chinese and it went away like in
You're talking about the MSG?
Months. Yeah, I think it was probably MSG. So I see what you're saying there by like, what you put in your mouth. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, imagine what it's doing to, inside of me. So I quickly cut it off, like quickly.
And see, it's all in how the food is prepared.
Yeah.
Everything has something to do with one another. Just like when you were told as a kid, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
And that's very true. Whatever you put in your body is what's going to come out. And it's going to come out the natural way. It's going to come out through your skin. It's going to come out through your hair. It's going to come out through your nails. So if you're not eating what nourishes your body, it can't give you fuel to do other things. It's just like a car. If you don't put the right gas in the car is not going to work.
Yeah.
So it all works together. So next is your blood. And it looks at your blood and how your blood is and the dynamics of how everything is broken down in your blood. And then next is your stool. That's where everything tells what's come out and what's going on in there. It gives them a profile to go by. And from that profile, you answer about 100 questions. And it asks about what you eat, when you eat, how you do your oral health, and how many times you brush your teeth, do you floss, what do you do on a regular basis. And that's where they can break down as to telling you about when they give you your results, because it gets very specific. And there's one thing that I really liked about it. It gives you your internal age. We have 2 ages. We have a chronological and an internal. And my internal age, which wasn't the best, I wasn't really like upset about it. I was 4 years younger than I actually am.
That's good.
When I took the test. But I had a client, she was 43 and her internal age was 27.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. But there's a difference because she doesn't live here. And she was originally born in Canada. And she lives in Austria. Now, up in a mountainside, they run a resort there. So you can see the difference in countries and how it plays out for us, how an American versus a European looks in the way that they eat. Because their food over there, and I can attest to it, I've spent some time over in Europe, their food is so much cleaner. There's not a lot of processing being done to it. Because for the first time, year before last, I had bacon over there. And I'm like, well, that's not the bacon I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I've never had to season bacon.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I came prepared. because I bought my seasoning with me because I didn't know what to expect. And my mother was laughing at me. Yeah. She was like, "You bought what?" I said, "Yeah, I came with everything I needed." I said, "From the kitchen sink." Yeah. And she was like, "You're kidding." I said, "Yeah, I even bought Obey." And it was just interesting to the taste from the farm to the table. And they didn't put their eggs in the refrigerator because they come from the farm. And when you don't clean them off and do whatever we do here, they last longer. And they have, I think it's like 6 months you can keep eggs out. And I'm like, what? And me forgetting, I put the eggs in the refrigerator. Yeah. I was like, and they were like, once you do it, you can't put them back out. So you just have to leave them in there, but they won't just last as long. And I was like, wow.
Hey family, just a big announcement I wanted to share with you guys. We just launched the Motion and Success community. So listen, a lot of times, a lot of you guys are struggling online to grow your social media platform. You're considered the best kept secret. Literally, no one knows you. You got a business, but if your business is not online, you're literally a secret. We're going to be showing you guys how to grow from 0 to 100K online organically. If we did it, you guys can definitely do it too. We had influencers like Queen Latifah, Rick Ross, Usain Bolt, and many others liking our content, and this was all done organically. If you want to know those specific strategies on how you can take your brand and your business to the next level and start putting more money in your pocket, getting more leads for your business, getting more clients, and taking yourself to the next level of entrepreneurship, comment the word motion down below and let's start creating you some motion and definitely some success, but more importantly, some leads that convert into dollars.
That's
and they were much more, they had a different yoke color as well. So it was just a lot of differences.
So would you say, New York, like the environment that we're living in, do you feel like that could have us looking older down the line?
And see, it's all in how you take care of yourself. And yes, New York is a loud, boisterous environment, but it's in how you maintain your health, how you are at home. Do you give yourself enough rest? Do you give yourself quiet time to just contemplate? Yeah. It doesn't have to be much. It could be 5 minutes of your time in the morning and 5 minutes in the afternoon. As long as you give yourself time to just be and not be running all over the place. Because like when I came in, I talked to you about the sounds. Yeah. The sounds in your environment play a lot of I don't know how to put that. It gives you energy and it can take it away by the sounds that you hear. Like when I told you about being on the train, how you're shaking up, that bothers you. Yeah. Most people, it bothered me when I've been on a train.
Yeah. You want to know something? It kind of plays into a role. I think they call it hypnotic rhythm or something like that. It's like if you play like heavy metal, you're gonna want to start, bopping your head and shaking your arms and doing some crazy movements. Now versus if you were to play jazz music. All right, cool. You're not doing the same movements. Mellow. Yeah, it's more mellow. So it's like the kind of music that you listen to. I was just listening to this the other day on this call out I was on, and they were saying like about hypnotic rhythm, and a lot of times you might hear these kinds of music, and then it puts you in a state of mind where you feel aggressive. You want to go, Like if I listen to Meek Mill, like sometimes I might be listening to Meek or somebody. I'm not from certain kinds of environment, but I be feeling like I'm a part of it at that current moment.
Oh yes.
But it plays a role in this. It plays with your psyche a lot when you listen to certain kinds of music.
It's so true too, because I'm not even gonna lie. Like early in the mornings, I can't listen to music at all. Like I just feel like it throws me off.
And see, it's not necessarily just the music. Take a second, and before I leave, I will give you some sounds and to point you in a direction. I've been studying, this is something very, very new for me, the gong, and learning how that, hitting the gong and the vibration that it brings to you. It can change your whole thought process. It can change how you view things just by listening to it, listening to the sounds, listening to the vibrations before you go to bed. And it can put you to sleep. Some people that have insomnia, I've recommended that, haven't had a problem since.
Wow.
And you'll be sleeping less than 5 minutes. Some people, it takes like an hour of them laying in the bed, but most of the time it's due to the phone.
Yeah.
We don't want to give that phone a break.
Yeah.
And not saying it's everything, but it plays a whole psyche to you because it has got you enraptured in it. You're so tied to that telephone that we don't want to give it a break.
Right.
I definitely want to jump into some of the people you helped, because the holistic side of healing is really different. So,
Okay.
what are some things that you did to a client of yours that transformed their life?
Wow. Speaking of the same young lady that's in Austria, she was my first client when the Pranic healing organization called the Nobu Touch here in Brooklyn that I've learned from Jeffrey Noble. I took my class, it's been a year this past March. And the very first day, that Sunday, March the 9th of 2024, I gave her healing. She had ear infections for 8 years. Up and down, the doctors finally said, it's in your head. There's nothing wrong with you. We can't figure it out. You need to stop being so emotional. And she was like, what? Like, what do you mean? How am I emotionally walking into a wall?
Yeah.
Because with ear infections, sometimes you could lose your balance. You could end up even having what's called where you fall out. And I forget what that's called.
Syncope.
I forget what it is. Vertigo, that's what it is.
Vertigo. Okay.
And because my daughter gets it, because she has clogged ears. And she hasn't had any since I worked on her. She doesn't even know. And she was just willing. And my client, I worked on her for 3 days. And I told her, I said, I want you to just write down how you feel over the next week. And I worked with her Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. By Tuesday evening, she called me and was like, it's going.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm just trying to play like I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, what's going? She said, the ear infection. She said, it's just going.
Wow.
She says, I broke out the camera and was looking in my ear. There's nothing in there. And I'm like, what do you mean nothing? She says, here, watch the video. She says, this was it on Sunday. And now look. And I'm like, what did you do? She was like, Diane, stop playing.
But what did you do, though? Like, you said you had her write down some stuff.
And I mean, I just wanted her to document.
Yeah. So what's this? All right. So what will be the steps? Like, for example, if you're, let's say if I'm in a situation, what's like a common issue or something? What's
I mean, we can stay on it.
Say you've got a headache.
Yeah.
Migraines.
Say you've got migraines.
Okay. What will be the steps that we'll follow?
Now, normally with migraines, they have what are called protocols.
Okay.
Now, within those protocols, we do which is called a scan to see where your chakras are. Now, normally everybody thinks that there are 7 chakras, but there are thousands in the body. And there's major chakras, minor chakras, and smaller chakras. You have chakras in your nose, you have chakras in your ears. It's an energy part of your body. Like where you can pinpoint, like, have you acupuncture? Your pinpoints in your body. And everybody has one all over. Now, when we do the scan, we check and see where your major chakras are to see if they're in alignment or if they're out of alignment. And we scan them and clear them out. Now, with your headache, there are certain things that we can do from those chakras that can clear that up. And that's, like I said, me using my energy to charge your energy to heal you. I don't have to touch you. I don't have to do anything. And like I told you, I healed her from here. I was in Delaware, and she's in Austria.
Can I be real?
Mm-hmm. She didn't believe it either.
Can I be real? Like,
come on, go ahead.
Some people also might be in agreement. Like, ain't no way. Like,
hey, look.
Like,
I've got another one.
All right, so I'm listening.
And this lady, she's in Louisiana.
Okay.
Now, every August, the organization does a thank you to the creator. His name is Master Chawa Kaksui. And his birthday is in the month of August. So through the whole month of August, they take people who volunteer or the healers that volunteer to heal people that sign up. And we do it free of charge all through the month. And you get a month's worth of healings. Every week you get 3 services per week. Mm-hmm. And this young lady, I don't know if she had gotten in an accident or what happened to Portia, but she had done something to her shoulder and her knee. I was only supposed to do one thing, but I did both of them. And within the first 4 sessions, she had no problems. And she was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Now, normally how I do, I want my clients sleep. I don't want you focusing and thinking about what I'm doing because you're going to think too much. Like the average person, your mind's going to be like, well, is she working on it? Is she doing what's she doing? You're going to be doing all this and you're going to be too worried about what I'm doing. I'm letting you know these are the days that I'll be working on you through the night. So what I want you to do is just write down how you feel. Just keep your journal in your journal, just how you feel that day from the morning and the evening so that you can see the change. And she was like, wow. She says, I noticed like the one day I really couldn't pick up stuff with one hand and that her knee was bothering her. And she was like, it just took till you like got moving in the day for it to go away. And she was like, by Friday, she was like, I was starting to feel a whole lot better. My arm wasn't bothering me. And she said, I had totally forgotten about my knee. She said, because there was no pain. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
And I was like, but I'm going to do the full service. You'll get the full thing. So we make sure there's nothing that's going to come back. And to this day, I talk to her on a regular. Her and I become good friends. Wow. And she's like, I haven't had any problems.
Wow.
All right, so...
And wait a minute, I'm going to backtrack too. The other young lady, her name is Brandy. I met her this past summer in person, and her first thing was to run up and hug me. As soon as she saw, because we video chatted, so she knew what I looked like. She ran up and hugged me. She says, you know what? I still haven't had an ear infection. And she says, we will forever be friends. Forever.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, we are. I said, I told you that after the first couple times.
If you don't mind, like what? Because you said her ear infection went away in like what 3-4 days.
3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
3 days. What are some interventions that you gave her for it to go away, an ear infection to go away in 3 days without antibiotics, right?
I didn't give her any. I didn't give her physically. I didn't give her anything.
Because I know that's physically with her either.
Yeah.
Nope.
Because I know that's going to be most people's questions.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get rid of an ear infection in 3 days?
And see, that's the whole thing. Believe me, I have to go back to how I met Jeff Noble. Mm-hmm. I was in my boot camp for my course in NLP. And we were all talking, and they were like, oh, there's going to be a presentation for Dr. Richard Bandler. He's going to be interviewed by Jeff Noble, one of his former students. And we need to sit and watch the presentation. And I'm like, cool, okay. We all sat and watched it. And we by that time, I had ended up in the bed. And I was still watching it on my phone. And he says, I'm getting ready to do the Lord's Prayer, which is a healing prayer. And I'm like, a healing prayer? I never knew it was a healing prayer. I just thought it was the Lord's Prayer. You just said it as a kid because I grew up as an Adventist. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm getting ready to learn something new tonight. He says, I want you to think of something that you would like to get rid of. Just one thing, doesn't matter what it is. And I'm like, okay. I had hurt my back in an accident several years ago, and I would like to sleep more than 5 hours. I would like to sleep a regular night's sleep without any problem and not wake up with any pain. That night, I don't even recall going to bed. I recall it was about 8:30. I woke up 12 hours later. It was about 9 o'clock, something to 10 when I woke up. And I had never slept that long in about 15 years. And I'm like, I thought it was a fluke. I didn't think nothing of it. I went about my day. Didn't have no problem. Didn't think about my back. About a week later, I'm like, something's funny. And my daughter's like, what? I said, I don't feel no pain. And she's looking at me like, what are you talking about, woman? I said, yeah. And I'm like, I slept a whole night.
That's crazy.
And she's like, what do you mean? I said, when have you known me to sleep past 5 hours? And she's like, oh. So for 3 weeks after that, I still looked for the pain. And then something from them came up, an email or something came up from the Noble Touch. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get to know these people because I need to know what this man did in this one conversation over the Zoom chat. And I'm like, what do you guys have going on? He was like, well, we're having an anniversary. Come on up and see us. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And they thought I was kidding because I'm not from here. I'd never been up here to meet these people, didn't know them from a can of paint. I paid my money to participate, and I showed up with a cousin of mine. And they're all like, oh, God, Delaware's here. And I was like, what you trying to say? Don't be hating on the first date. So, and I was like, I needed to thank you. And he's like, for what? And I was like, you took my back pain away. And I said, and I looked for it for 3 weeks. And I said, I had to meet you to say thank you. If I met the other people, if I went all the way to Europe to meet the man who helped me lose 40-some pounds, I could come to Brooklyn to say thank you for something. And he was like, really? He says, do you want to learn how to do it? And I'm like, huh? Learn how to do what? And he explained what it all was. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'll be the first to tell you I'm a skeptic until all of this has come to me. I was the most skeptical person. I didn't believe any of this moho, whatever this was. And I was like, look, after I've experienced everything, it's time for me to try this. If I could move another person physically, I can do this. Because I know are you guys into like Doctor Strange and all that, the multiverse and all that stuff? You don't know about the Marvels and all that?
Doctor Strange.
What? Oh my God, me either. Okay. And I'm not even completely into it, but it's like, okay, have you heard of Qigong? Oh my God.
Sounds familiar too.
Now Qigong is like Tai Chi.
I've heard of Tai Chi.
It's another version of Tai Chi. There's several different versions they've got of it. And I was in a seminar and the gentleman was doing Tai Chi. And I had already done my Pranic healing class. And they tell you don't tamper with stuff because you never know what can of worms you could open.
Yeah.
And of course I had to try this because I'm one of those people and I wanted to know. And we were in the the Qigong session, and the young lady next to me, we did something, and I moved her. She was like where you are to me, and I moved her where he is. Wow. And she looked at me like, what you do? And I was like, it works. And I'm like, yeah. And we were like, in the first row off to the side, because there's like side, middle, side. Yeah. And they were like, the cameras saw, and they were like, did you? And I was like, don't put that out there. Yeah. I was like, I don't want the bad juju if there's bad juju with this. Yeah. Because one of the ladies told us her son used colors. And see, there's different aspects of pranic healing. There's crystals, there's colors, there's psychics, there's so many different levels to it, like everything else. And he was messing with something. And he ended up with 4 years of bad luck. And it took several different healers to get the luck away, to get the bad luck to go away. And she was like, please don't do it. She says, whatever you do, don't open up a can of worms because you don't know what slop will crawl out of there and how long it's going to take to get it back right. And I was like, after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. I said, I know it's real and I'm good. I don't need to know nothing else. Yeah. I'm cool. And they were like, what were you over there? I said, oh, look. I said, I'm hard-headed. I'm sorry. I said, I admit it. Yeah. I've been that way because I wanted to know. And I said, yeah, I'm glad it didn't do anything to me. Nothing. There's been no ill effects, but I did. And I was like, the young lady just looked at me. I said, I'm so sorry. She was like, I don't want nothing. Don't get near me. She moved. And I was like,
So what state of mind did you have to enter to kind of, do something like that? Like, is it, because I know it's not just saying that I could just simply do.
It was.
My fault.
You're fine. Go ahead.
All right, so now I did want to ask you a question. So you said you had to have some kind of certification. You went through NLP school and things like that. So with this kind of stuff that you do you have to be like a chosen one?
To me, it's a journey. And we're all on a journey, and we never know where our life is going to take us. With me, I was all over the place in my journey until I finally got to a point where I was like, there's got to be a more organized way to do this. Because I was here, over there, back here. And I was like, there should have been an easier way to do this. And that's where I developed the neurofitness method, where first and foremost, I feel as though you need your mind right. If your mind is in order, everything else will flow, because you'll want to do better nutrition. You'll want to find a more palatable career, whether it's working for somebody, working for yourself, creating something. You'll do what you want, what brings you joy. And even if you still keep a regular job, but still add something that brings you joy. And then you'll want to work on how your everyday life is, how you interact with people. And that's still a part of the neurofitness part about your mind and how you deal with everyday situations. You'll be a lot better because you know that the conversation in your mind isn't the end all be all. You can control that, because most of us here, you're not good enough. You don't know enough to do this. Who says you know what you're doing? Who said you know that? Well, how much education do you have? You don't got a PhD in this. You don't got a MIT to do the math or whatever it could be, but that's up to you to decide. And allow your mind to determine how you live your life. And that's basically mental fitness and keeping your mental house in order and keeping that mental chatter down, giving it something else to do.
Yeah. So with that young lady who had the ear infection, you basically you did Tai Chi on her?
No, just the pranic healing.
Isn't that a self-defense thing?
And see that, I don't know. Me personally, I don't.
Could you break down pranic healing?
That's what that is. That's what I was talking about, me using and clearing out her chakras and going through her chakras and scanning and specifically working on her ears working on her overall well-being, because that wasn't the only thing that she had going on. And it was just in my opinion, a derivative and a way for it to express itself. Yeah. Because we don't think about the relationships that we have, the emotions that we go through. It plays a part, and it comes out in certain bodily issues. It comes out like you could have eczema, you could have foot issues, you could have diabetes. All of that plays a part in your mental, and it comes out in physical. And she was going through some things with her children and her husband and her job, and she was trying to be everything to everybody. Yeah. And that's not a good thing, because we can't do everything. Yep. And until we can understand that and be willing to delegate and be willing to let go of some of the control, because I'm sorry to say, women take on so much, and we don't allow others to participate. Like when you were a kid, your mother didn't have you washing dishes and doing laundry. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a lot of kids aren't raised that way, aren't given that responsibility to participate in the household. When, in my opinion, or even in general, that's a disservice. Yeah. Because once you get out in the world, you're going to be like, well, how do I do laundry? How I sort clothes. You probably didn't pay attention to that. And if that's not if you're not given that information, how are you going to know? And in school, they don't do that either. They don't teach that. So, I figure this is a part of creating better adults.
Yeah.
Because what you don't know, in this case, can hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
And giving with my neural fitness method, it gives you the chance to look at your overall life and your overall well-being. And we work with the mind, body, and your spirit to bring them into alignment, which will make everything else flow. And now I'm bringing in the one part as to how I met Cody, Darius, and Dion. They are the financial aspect of everything for my business. I am adding financial wellness because once you get the mental fitness, your mental, physical, and emotional in line, everything is going to start flowing. So that means more finances are going to start coming in. And if you don't know how to manage that, you're going to get back into the stress. You're going to get back into the other things. And I want to educate people on how to learn how to do their credit reports right. Learn how to read that. Learn how to maintain their credit. Learn how to, make sure that you're paying your bills on time. Managing your money. And making your money work for you. Investing in passive income with the stocks, the EFTs, the REITs, and learning the stock market so that your money can make money while you sitting here. My money's working for me right now.
Yes.
And in January, I made $278, and I ain't had to do nothing for it. And I'm like, hey, averaging that out over a year, that's passive income.
Yeah, it is.
While my money's, instead of it sitting in the bank making 0.5%, and they gonna hand me $1 at the end of the year, what am I gonna do with $1? Nothing. We can't. But you can't even buy a bottle of water for $1 now.
Right.
Especially not up here.
Oh yeah, no, not anymore.
It's probably what, $5 up here.
It depends what type of water, but I think it's starting at like $1.25 right now.
And see, I couldn't even afford water, let alone the tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm in a tax-free
crazy.
state, so I'm like, tax, what?
Yeah.
But that's what my business is about. And I'm now trying, like I was telling Cody, trying to create a legacy for my 2 daughters and my grandkids.
It's nice.
Because I want them to see that you don't have to work for a company.
Yeah.
You can work for yourself and stay financially stable while helping others and bringing others into the same financial freedom you have. It may not be as an entrepreneur. It may not be as a creative type. You can stay within your business, but learn how to manage your money and live a healthier, happier life.
Well, so before you got into the healing, what were you doing before?
Oh, I'm still on my regular 9 to 5, so to speak. Now, I am a 7th generation longshoreman. I work for the Port of Wilmington in Delaware. That's local 1694, even though I don't shout them out like that. But no, I'm still. Yeah. And that's the ILA, International Longshoreman. I've been there. I'm in my 21st year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been doing that for 21 years. And I'm trying to be done with that in the next few years because I want to make a difference. My job, it doesn't actually make a difference. It does create supplies for everybody on the East Coast, in the tri-state area, really. But it doesn't really impact someone personally.
Yeah.
It impacts as a whole. And I want to impact personally. I want to leave a growing legacy for people to show that it is possible for us to change our circumstance. We don't have to just say, I can't make any more money. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. When you learn the systems, you can do better.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I want to ask you a question because we did start speaking about this before the podcast. And you were talking about eating habits and, like sometimes we might overeat, we might overindulge into food. But you really got to be able to reprogram your mind. So like, what will be like some of the strategies you would say when it comes to like reprogram the mind so that way you're able to like, maximize on what you're eating and stuff like that?
Well, see, there's no real proven system with that. It's like I said, when you know better, you're willing to do better. You're going to have a different mindset. And with the NLP, I sit down with you. We go over scenarios that you've had in the past that have been the most majorly impact you. Like if you've had a childhood incident where, say you had a dog incident, or say you almost got hit by a car, certain major things that have happened in your life that are impacting your responses to things, your fear of flight. And we take them away, so to speak. We give them less power. And when you continue to go through some of the traumatic things that have happened in your life and take the power away from them, it changes how you view things. And it changes your look on your life. And it gives you a time to reprocess things and to think of things differently. Like the next time you see a dog, you don't think of the dog like that. Or the next time you see a car, you're not fearful of certain situations, like walking across the street. You're not fearful of that. So your mind is on other things, and your mind is more willing to say, hey, say you hadn't learned how to drive because of that situation. You'll be ready to learn how to drive. Or you might even one day have a dog.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. And then when it comes to the nutrition, we reprogram your thoughts about how you view food and how you and food interact together.
Do you think it's from like the way how certain people are raised, like especially like living in poverty? It's like, yo, you have to finish all your food because, you know, make sure you eat everything on that plate. Don't leave the table until you finish everything.
And that was for me.
Yeah.
And believe me, it has been a daily still trial for me. And I think about it each time. And when I'm cooking, I change how much I cook.
You cook less?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my kids have mentioned that. My daughter's like, you don't cook as much. I said, because then I don't have to think about, I have to eat it.
Yeah.
Or it has to be a leftover.
Yeah.
So if I don't make that much, it can't be much to be left over.
Right.
And it's like, you know, you think about how I grew up in the age of whatever was put on your plate, you ate. You didn't argue, you didn't complain. And if you did, there was consequences.
Yeah, you gotta be in.
It wasn't necessarily you gotta be eating. You might be sitting there all night.
Yeah.
You might be sleeping that plate.
My niece do that.
It was like, I detested this vegetable. I didn't like that thing. The one thing I still can't stand is okra.
No? Some people don't like the slime.
I am not eating that snot. That is the nastiest thing. But broccoli, Brussels sprouts, they're my best friends. I'm not eating the snot. That's just not going to happen. They haven't been able to work that one around. And I'm like, hey, that we were talking about that the other day. I said, My mother's like, you don't want no okra and corn? No. And I love corn. Because Jersey corn, no, I don't want that. I'm just going to stew some tomatoes. No, mother, I'm good. Stop calling me with that.
Yeah.
And my mother will be 92 this year.
Wow.
So it's like, I still hear that. Are you eating all your food? Mom, stop that.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious. But we have to think about, once you go through the process and you see how your body responds and how much weight you drop off and how much better you feel, you don't give the credence to the number. Because that's what we've been so programmed to. Not only about eating all of our food, we look at the number. We give that number so much weight and so much power over us. Like now to this day, I step on the scale and my doctor still can't believe I weigh 230 pounds. But my clothes don't say that. The things how I feel, I don't feel that. And he's like, they've done the blood work, they've done all the tests. My cholesterol was through the roof. They even put me on blood pressure medicine at one point. I came back in 3 months. She was like, what the heck? Because they had me checking my blood pressure and keeping track of it. And she's like, have you been taking the medicine? I said, yes. She says, what the heck? because my blood pressure had gotten back down below the norm in less than 30 days. But I did what she asked.
So now let me ask you this question. Do you think traditional doctors and traditional medicine is like a downfall for us people? Because hear me out. A lot of times people say, hey, you know, they go to your doctor, and you hear all kinds of stories where they might be like, all right, cool. You went one time and then you do all your holistic stuff. You know, you start reading on different information, and then you go back and they say, oh, no way. Ain't no way you beat cancer. Ain't no way you did the high cholesterol, you know, went from high cholesterol to low cholesterol. It's just not possible. Like, do you think they're one of our biggest downfall for people?
And it's not that. It's the person. Because we give, like with our parents, we give the doctors that power. And when you give that person that power over you, you're going to believe whatever they tell you.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say about the Black community that we've given, as they say, the man in the white coat, that privilege.
Yep.
And we don't question them. But you question everything else.
Yep.
Why not question about your health? That's the most important thing you've got. If you don't got it, what does everything else matter? It don't matter where you live. It don't matter what car you drive. If you can't walk, or you can't eat, your mouth's all messed up, your feet all messed up, you got high blood pressure, you got diabetes, or what do they got? You got the sugar, you got all that stuff. What does everything else matter? But you're still eating the food, you're eating the fried food, you're eating the stuff that's got the high cholesterol in it. You're not paying attention to what your body needs. You're not fueling it properly. You wouldn't go out and put diesel in your car, but you'll throw everything in your body and don't think about what it's doing to it. And the doctors don't care, because if you're not sick, they don't get paid.
They don't get paid, yeah.
Big pharma.
And that's part of why they push the pills. Part of why they don't want to do the microbiome testing. They want to do just the blood work. Blood work's not going to tell you much of nothing.
Where can a person go to do microbiome? That's the 3 things you was talking about earlier, right?
Yes, then they have several different kits. You can do oral, and I forget, I think it's oral. Then you can do oral and blood, and then you can do the full intelligence is the one I was talking about, where you do the oral, the blood, and the stool.
Okay. Where do you go? Like to a regular clinic?
This is a place. The company is called Viome. 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 They're out of Washington State, and they provide the test. And you complete the test, submit it within 4 to 8 weeks. You get your results back, and it comes back on your app. They have a Viome app, and you get your information. My paperwork was 133 pages worth of information. And it was enough to go, what? It got down to my cognitive health, my oral health.
It's like your brain.
Yep, my brain
function.
health. How my brain was functioning. It got to how my oral health was. It talked about my blood pressure. It talked about my hypertension, that's blood pressure. It talked about sugar. It talked about so many different things. And it broke down to the foods I should eat, the foods I shouldn't eat, the foods I should eat minimal, and then the foods I should just explode on and just have as much as I can eat. And it gave me a time frame. And it basically, for me, it took just about everything out of my diet. Because at that time still, I was recovering from having this ankle surgery. And I was still bloated. So I had a lot of inflammation in my body. I was gassy. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was doing the turmeric like my doctor suggested. I was eating lemons, limes, onions. But for me, that all caused gas. It all caused the inflammation. Because I'm one of the few people, probably maybe more, that turmeric does the exact opposite for me. It causes inflammation versus taking it away. And I'm like, whoa. When I finally went back to the doctor and she was like, what in the world are you doing now? She said, you're shrinking on me. What's going on, lady? And I was like, it's the test again. And I said, the test came back. And she was like, what? I said, the turmeric I'm not supposed to have. I said, I'm not allowed to have any beef, no pork. The only thing I could actually have in the protein aspect was turkey and chicken. Mm-hmm. Because they don't cause gases for me. They don't cause bloating for me. There was no onions, no lemons, no limes, because they did the same thing. The acidity caused me inflammation, and it made my body react to the beef portion or whatever other protein I was eating. They were all causing bloating. So my legs slimmed down, my face slimmed down, everything just totally changed. Everybody was like, well, what in the world?
Yeah.
And it was a story that I went to work one day and the guys were like, okay, what are you on? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, are you on crack? And I'm like, what kind of question is that to ask somebody?
Yeah.
Like, do I look like I'm on drugs? I was like, they said, well, you done got so damn skinny, we can't figure out what the hell going on here.
Yeah.
Because I have some pictures I can show you that were like, they were like, what the hell? I looked totally different. My face was out here before.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I looked like two of me. And they were like, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
I said, I'm eating right. I said, I'm cooking my own food. I'm not going out. I'm not eating the processed foods. None of that, when you got, I don't know if you guys have subs up here with the processed meats, with the
Subway?
the Italian subs.
Yeah.
Where you got the provolone,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got
They go to corner store.
you got the Italian sausages, you've got your prosciutto, the capicola, all that's processed. And we don't know what's in that.
Yeah.
We don't know what ingredients they're using. We don't know what oils they're putting in there and how they're storing that stuff. So I had to go back to basics. When I talked about going all the way back to hunter-gatherer, when we didn't have a Whole Foods around the corner, you didn't have Costco. I don't know if you guys have BJ's up here.
Yeah, we do.
You don't have those where you could go and buy in bulk. You couldn't buy in bulk when it wasn't here, when it wasn't seasoned for whatever it was. And I retrained my body. And that's something that we can all benefit from, seasonal eating. Because that gives your body time to slow down and enjoy the food. And think about when you guys go and eat something, no matter whatever it is, when's the last time you enjoyed the food you ate? You just enjoyed the chew and gave a second to taste what you were eating.
Yeah.
You don't do that. And that's one of the mental fitness things. To give you a second to stop.
Yeah.
So why do you think that? Because I mean, like in today's world, it's like so hard to get people on board to even probably do tests like that to
Most
figure it out. Everybody wants the fast track method. You see, Ozempic is really popular right now.
But look at the after effects.
Yeah.
That's what we forget. What happens after you're done that pill? How do you feel? You don't feel no better off.
Yeah.
If anything, you're probably worse off.
Yeah.
And then think about all the time. Say you spend a month on that pill. After that month, you're sick for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because you've done something to your body that it wasn't meant to be done. Why not take 6 months? Or in my first program, it's 6 weeks. Why not take the 6 weeks and invest money in yourself? You spend money on Starbucks. You spend money on vacations. You spend money on spas. Sometimes you do, I would hope. Yeah. But you spend money, just for the women part, you spend money on nails. You spend money on haircuts. You spend money. How much do you guys spend on sneakers? Ladies, high heels. But you're not going to spend money on yourself. That's part of my problem with this. And trying to get my business off the ground. Are we willing to invest in ourselves? Are you willing to invest in you? How much is your time and your life worth to you?
Yeah, it's really true. we kind of throw the health part to the side. Well, most people, they throw the health part to the side, and then they wait until something happens.
Why not prevent
and then they
it?
start coming. Yeah.
And
Prevention
see,
is better than cure.
with my process, I figured after going through it myself, I really wish where was this?
Yeah.
10 years ago for me. I wouldn't be where I am now because the gentleman who introduced the program, I saw him and I'm like, wait a minute, how do you look better now than when I met you about 8 years ago? What the heck? Like, that was what impressed me. What are you doing that I need to do? Because if you look better than you did 8 years ago, wait a minute. You went back in time. I want to go back in time too. Because there's no way that I can't do what you've done.
Yeah.
If it's a matter of just learning something. I want to open my mind up. I don't want to use just the 20% they tell us we're going to use of our mind. I'd like to at least get close to 60. I want to learn something new every day. I don't care what it is. Even if it's just a quote, something to help me make my life and someone else's better. Even if it's just to be, hold the door. Because since COVID, people have gotten rough. They don't want to hold the door for you. They want to run you over.
Yeah.
I said we've lost our sympathy, and I'd like to give that back to the world. To first care about yourself. When you care about you and take care of your own internal self, it will come out, and that's what's happened with me. It has come out from me to want to help and give of my time. I still donate my time through the Noble Touch. I work with them. Usually on Wednesdays, they do a free Zoom class for elderly, but a lot of us join in. I do my healing with them on Wednesdays in the background on our Zoom calls. And anytime they call me, I'll come up. Matter of fact, we were a couple weeks ago, we were in, Edison, New Jersey. And they had a holistic wellness seminar for the weekend. And I gave of my time there. We did a few healings. And they have a thing that I I said that's going to be one of the new things I want to add to my programs. It's a scan where you can put your hand on the scanner or you can speak through the phone and it scans from your voice. And it breaks down all of what's going on in your body just by a scan. Wow. And I was like, hey, I thought the microbiome was good, but this is close to that.
I actually done the same thing before where I went to a holistic guy, and what he did was he had like a kind of wand, and he would get you to relax as much as possible. So you sit in the chair, and then you'll have your hands like this, and then he'll wipe your hands down first. You'll take your shoes off, take your socks off.
Okay.
And then
he was getting in depth.
Yeah. Pause. And then he'll wipe the bottom of your feet off too. Like if it had like any excess dirt, sweat, anything like that. And then from there what he would do is it's like a wand where he would touch, I don't know what the machine does, but like he would touch certain parts of your hand, like with your fingers, like all around your hand, on both hands. Same thing with your feet. And I told him, like, I wrote down on the side, like, you know, some of my issues. You know, can't sleep, you know, stomach I was much bigger, all kinds of things. Nasal, always stuffed, you know, sinus. So once the test was over, he did like a printout. And on the printout, it had like a picture of a human body, and it will rate it from 0 to 100, and then it'll you know show parts of your body where it's lacking, like very deficient in like certain things, and everything that I said, it came out on the test.
Oh yeah, see,
sinus, everything, headaches, sometimes can't sleep at night, And then from there, he gave me like a detox. I detoxed my entire body. Started out with a colon cleanse. Did that for a while. Eliminated all the fast food. Stopped drinking processed juice, like, you know, like those Tropicana juices. I used to drink those in a day, like in less than an hour. Those things are finished.
I've been through all that.
So once I stopped drinking all of those stuff, eating fast food, McDonald's, all of that, like I wasn't even,
honestly, that's not even food.
And I just lost like a whole bunch of weight from that, and I wasn't even exercising, and then I just kept that going, you know, and then from there I just kept going down.
And see, I can even hear the sinus part though.
Yeah,
and I have something for that.
Yeah,
to make sure you take care of before I leave.
Yeah.
What that generally is, sometimes it's where you live. Do you change the filter?
No.
That's one thing. Because the air that we're breathing in, we don't know how it's being processed. Because like, do you live in like a house, apartment?
House.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your house, your heater, there's a filter. And I know this, I'm saying it this way for a reason. Nobody thinks about that. We don't give that any mind. If somebody doesn't remind us or never told us, we don't think about it. And in your filter is a flow, and what's the name? It pulls out, and you'll see exactly what's going on in your house and exactly what air is being filtered through it. Now, some people might be clear, depending on where you're living and what's going on in your environment, whether the cars that pass by, whether you're near some kind of plant that processes something. And it could be anything. But when you change that filter, you will notice the whole difference in the house. And even having it cleaned out, having an HVAC service done. Also, what I do, I have filters. And the one main oil that is like one of the top oils for this is peppermint. Now, what you can do with the peppermint oil is get your bottle of peppermint oil, another empty spray bottle, put spring water in it, and drop a decent amount of peppermint oil in it, and spray down your shower. So every time you get in the shower, you turn it on and make it heat up, and that'll give you like a vapor fix. Inhale while you're in the shower, and it'll help keep that clear. So you can do that for like about a week, and you'll notice the difference and how you'll change and how you'll sound. You won't sound nasally. You won't sound like somebody's holding that thing over your nose.
That's how I sound. Yeah.
Not as deep. I hear it because it's a part of me. And I hear things that I'm not supposed to hear half the time. People are like, how do you even know that? Because I'm listening.
Yeah.
And it's something I have as well because I'm dealing with the mold issue at home. So I still have it. It's not as bad because I've been healing myself and keeping myself clear of it. And it's not bothering me as much. Before, I had mucus really bad. And it was just a lot of things going on until they were like, you know, I asked one of the healers, I was like, can I heal that? And she's like, is that a real question? And I was like, yeah. She was like, you can heal whatever you want. She says, get into that book and look. And it was right there in the book. He made specific protocols for everything. And it was just, wow. And I've been doing really good ever since. And with this, it's a 2-day course to learn how to be a Pranic healer. And I think there's one coming up in April. Check it out at thenobletouch.org. Yeah, I'm plugging now.
Yeah, you should. You honestly should.
And because they have been an amazing transformation for me.
Yeah.
And they offer so much in the city of New York that most people don't know. Yeah, a lot of it's free. They are donation based. And for a skeptic, that will make you a believer.
Wow.
And just one session, like the one I had with him. And I've been with them ever since. And I told him, you can't get rid of me if you tried. Because I know.
Yeah, not true. I didn't even know that they existed in New York, honestly.
See?
You don't really hear about it like that.
And it's sad to say they don't want to put that out there because it will change the trajectory of medical in the world, because there's pranic killers everywhere. This past year they went to Senegal, and they were in Senegal with the pranic killers, promoting and going back and just exploring and interacting with other pranic healers. And it's a shame that it is, like most things, best kept secrets are hidden.
Yeah.
And
I did want to get, before we close, I did want to ask just, you know, two things that you know, off camera we were talking about, and you mentioned meditation, and then also like, was it hypnosis in a way? Sort of like that.
NLP.
Yeah.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming. Could you just kind of like give people out there advice or like, you know, tips on, you know, how those things are helping people, how it's beneficial, and, you know, how they could like, you know, do it in their life?
Now see, it was always a thing for me. I could always get people to do things. And it was the most weird things. We would be places and I could get discounts off of stuff. And my kids were like, how do you do that? And I never really understood until a few years ago. I met a gentleman named Paul McKenna. And he's a leading hypnotherapist in the UK. And he was doing some sort of presentation, and I said he was doing a presentation, and he healed a guy who was scared of spiders. And they brought a spider out on the stage, and the guy held the spider. And it was like, he was just like, wow. He said, this is amazing. And the spider crawled up his arm and everything. And I'm like, yo, I said, this is what I've been doing all this time. I said, manipulating language and getting people to do what they ultimately wanted to do. Yeah. You want to be helpful to another person, but you're just not given an incentive to do so. Now, what hypnotherapy and NLP are like brother and sister. NLP was like the precursor to hypnotherapy. It is using language, using your words to change someone's belief, to get them to be accepting of what they really want. Because nobody wants to be fearful of anything. Nobody wants to be scared of something. Nobody wants to not be able to do something. But our minds are triggered as children to protect us. So certain things, your mind may be like, that's not good for you. I don't want you to do that. You know, you might hurt yourself doing whatever that is. You know, that's not beneficial to you. So that brings back to the mental fitness, where the conversation in your mind is a battle. And once you learn how to handle that battle, you can move forward in whatever it is. So NLP and hypnotherapy together allows me to get my patients to do that, where they're sitting in a meditative state. I'm not doing anything to them that they can't undo. Where it's like basically having a conversation. But they're not, I won't say they're not cognitive, they're just not moving or anything. They're just sitting there just in a relaxed state, just enjoying the moment or the conversation. And I'm talking to their subconscious, getting their subconscious to be willing to allow for certain things. Like if they want to become a speaker, allow the person to be that. Think of whatever way to guide them to that, to know it's nothing harmful, that they're going to improve their life instead of subtract from it. Yeah. And allowing the subconscious to see that they've created the solution to giving that person that situation or becoming a speaker. So it's basically manipulating it to do the right thing without doing something in a negative manner. So getting your mind just to agree.
Interesting.
That's definitely a skill right there.
It's a run for your money, because most people think it's mumbo jumbo, and that is not real. And I'm living proof it is real. Because you would have never met me if I hadn't believed it was real. I wouldn't be here today. because I would have never gone through all the courses, all the programs. I would have never met Dion and Darius. None of this would have ever happened if I would have stayed in my little bubble. And it was from one accident.
Wow.
And I even thanked the guy who hit me. I told him, if it wasn't for you, my life wouldn't be moving forward in such a positive manner. I'd still be stuck. And in the same rut. And I've got one more thing before we close. That was the eye-opener for me. And it's called quantum jumping. And that's where I was able to go back and look at the day of my accident. But instead of looking at if I had have listened to my intuition, I looked at, or not, if I had have listened, where my life would have been. Because I didn't listen to my intuition that day. And if I had have listened, my life would have been in the same humdrum and the same BS and the same old. I would have never been anywhere. But it took me to where I am now, and it showed me my future, that I'm going to get everything I've dreamed of.
Yeah.
I just have to work forward and accept every door that is open for me and walk through it. And I've been doing it. And things have progressed and progressed to the point that I'm here. And I'm like, I thank God that it happened, because I don't know where I would have been. And money really has never been the issue. It's just I wasn't getting money for the right reasons.
Yeah, this was definitely a good one, bro.
Definitely interesting.
A lot of interesting things we covered.
Definitely very interesting for sure.
You could tell the people too, like where, like, you know, just what you offer out there in terms of like, you know, your
That was
services
gonna be my
and things
last
like
thing.
that. Yeah, definitely, because a lot of people they gonna try to get healed after this one.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. My business is Inner Glow Wellness, and it's at innerglowwellness.biz. And we will be having a neurofitness transitional summit April the 27th from 1 to 4. This is a free event, and there will be VIP offered, but this event will break down everything that I do, and I'm offering new additions into it, which will be sound and breath work. Because sound, like I told you, plays an integral part in our energy healing. And how we respond and how our bodies feel is the sound. And the breath aspect is teaching us how to rebreathe. Learn how to breathe that we did when we were children. Because now we don't breathe correctly enough to help us.
Wait, real quick. Could you break that down? Like, how were we breathing before versus how are we breathing now?
We're not fully breathing. We're breathing, but we're not breathing enough.
How about breathing through the mouth? No good. Right?
And that's the thing.
No good.
And I have a very good teacher. She is going to touch base on that and give specifics as to how you can benefit, and then give exercises you can do and to help correct your breathing and work on that. And just like the sound, how sound plays an integral part of your healing process. And that will be, again, April 27th from 1 to 4 p.m.
Virtually?
Online or
Virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And see, that's what everything has become virtual. I do have inpatient clients, but that's depending on the person and their circumstance.
How about if somebody's watching after April 27th?
They can still reach out. It will be on our website. And that's why I said the VIP is offered, where they can get the playbacks.
Okay.
And what I'm doing with that, I do want to keep some of it as to a portion. We'll segment it out and put it out within our website.
Okay.
And so that there'll be replays available for that.
All right, cool. Definitely
And
interesting.
we're learning that aspect of things. This is a part of the business, and learning how to do the webinars and all that aspects of our business.
Okay.
So that we can continue having our clients educated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a good one.
yeah, I think this is very interesting. A lot of things.
Different one.
Yeah, some of the things that you mentioned I'm familiar with. With like the blood work, like for example, people do those kind of tests to see what some of the foods they should be eating. I haven't heard about the saliva and the stool. The hands, I done it myself, so that's interesting. Breath work. A lot of times is what they says, like, a lot of sicknesses and diseases can really be prevented by doing breath work, because a lot of times is with the cells are not getting enough oxygen.
And so it goes back to, and it reminds me of the one person who started this: when you know better, you'll do better. Yeah. And that was Oprah. Yeah. Years ago, she talked about that when she came out with can't remember who the Rao Sharika, the one of the monks, she had on her show. Sharika Rao, I can't never get his name right. I say it wrong every time. And where he's one of the people who deals with meditations and deals with Ayurveda and all that, and how we're going to end up coming back to holistic medicine, because everything comes full circle. Like I talked about before we started this, how all the clothing has come back in style from the 60s and the 70s, where the bell bottoms and different clothes are back in style. Holistic wellness is coming back. Yeah. Because the average medical doctor isn't treating the person's symptoms. It's only treating what happens after, what the after effects are of whatever you've eaten. They're not treating what's going on in your body. They're treating what's the after effects. So until you start dealing with the symptoms, nothing's going to change.
Right.
Yeah. You're going to keep dealing with the medicines and keep going around that vicious cycle.
Yeah. I see the CVS line every Friday. It's just longer and longer, and I'm like,
what are they picking up?
they need it every week, basically. So I'm like, you see the money for the pharmaceutical companies is flowing in.
And think about how much younger every diabetic is getting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And how fatter the kids are getting.
It's crazy.
And nobody sees this as an issue.
Yeah, seems like we about to have another part two. But this one was really great, educational, learned a lot. And definitely you guys just tap in with Diane.
Yes.
And get yourself
healed. I will definitely come back if you ask. I have no problem with that. Like I said, NYC is a hop, skip, and a jump.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Let's go ahead, close off right here. Go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, tap in with Diane. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. And peace.